On the morning of October 16th, 2025, Ukraine launched a bold offensive into territory previously under Russian control. In a precisely timed operation, Ukraine struck Tokmak decisively, disrupting the center of Russia's southern supply chain. Moscow was caught off guard, leading to astonishing results: more than 960,000 pounds of ammunition and 3.2 million gallons of fuel, plus $310 million worth of military hardware, were destroyed. The operation, codenamed Silent Dagger, was performed with remarkable precision. A heavily fortified base guarded by 6 Pantsir S-1 systems, 1,200 surface-to-air missiles, and 180 soldiers crumbled in just 13 minutes. Subsequent satellite imagery showed only melted remnants, where 12 warehouses once stood. Analysts worldwide were left in awe. Russia's impenetrable Zone Zero became a blazing crater. The pressing question in war rooms everywhere is clear: how did Ukraine pull this off? Follow along. The details will reshape your view of modern warfare. Over 93 intense days, Ukraine observed Tokmak's key logistics base with unparalleled scrutiny. From covert locations near Huliaipol, teams from the Sapsan Signals Intelligence Unit and Lelekasent reconnaissance drones monitored every action in the Russian-occupied facility. The drones' advanced thermal cameras could spot license plates from 5 miles away and detect heat signatures through thick walls. Every evening, they recorded the exact moments lights turned on, convoys arrived, and guards switched shifts. The intelligence haul was overwhelming. Tokmak was no typical supply depot. It functioned as the largest hub in occupied Ukraine, supplying 480 tons of ammunition, 12 million liters of diesel, and 300 spare tank engines each day to sustain 4 entrenched Russian brigades along the southern front lines. Stored inside were 7,200 tons of shells, 1.8 million gallons of aviation fuel, and a workshop overhauling Orlan 10, and Lancet drones on an industrial level. On average, a 52 wagon train arrived from Melitopol or Genkoy every morning, offloading cargo worth nearly $180 million in military gear. The base's inner defenses were engineered like a fortress, featuring 3 security perimeters spanning 2.7 square miles, outer detection by Tor-M2 radars, a middle layer of Strela, 1-0 launchers, and inner defenses with ZSU-234 Shilka autocannons. Over 180 troops patrolled in teams, bolstered by 6 Pantsir S-1 mobile units and 1,200 surface-to-air missiles in stock. Russian protocols designated Tokmak as Zone Zero, zero tolerance. Any unauthorized aircraft entering the 12-mile radius would face immediate destruction within 7 seconds. A simple drone communication fault could trigger a massive response, covering 40 miles, reaching even Zaporizhia city. Despite the robust defenses and hubris, Ukrainian analysts spotted a critical weakness. Infrared data from Maxar satellites revealed radar coverage falling to 2729% during scheduled maintenance windows every Thursday between 3:30 and 5 a.m. Generators powering the radar array powered down, opening a 2-hour invisible corridor in the skies above Tokmak, within Kyiv's Strategic Operations Center. That time frame was marked in bold. Dozens of planners pored over digital maps, tension filling the air. General Kovalchuk gave the final go-ahead himself, his voice firm. Initiate at 3:47. All units proceed. Calmly stating, execute at 03. If intelligence and resilience can turn the tide of battle, subscribe now for what Ukraine revealed next will leave you in disbelief. At 3 a.m. on the 16th of October 2025, mere 15 minutes before the main assault, the plan shifted to its crucial opening phase. From a hidden woodland north of Huliaipol, 6 Ram-2 loitering munitions and 4 Warmate-2 strike drones lifted off quietly into the frosty night. Their engines hummed softly, each armed with a 7-pound shaped charge, crafted to slice through armor and steel. Their goal was pinpoint, neutralize Russia's outer air defense shield prior to the tank advance. For 7 tense minutes, the skies over Tokmak turned into a stealthy battlefield. The Tor M2 system pulsed scans every 3.8 seconds, hunting for intruders. Yet Ukraine's drones hugged the ground, flying at only 160 feet, dodging fog and utility lines. On Russian radars, nothing appeared, just noise. Suddenly, at 3:39, the first hit landed. A Warmate dove straight into the Tor's radar dome, detonating flawlessly. The blast ripped apart the antenna cluster and turned a fuel tanker into slag. Buildings shook miles away as fire billowed into the night. But soon after, a complication surfaced. A Warmate 2 lost its satellite signal from Russian jamming disrupting its path. For 10 agonizing seconds, it strayed toward Allied lines. Operators quickly switched to manual override. Using Starlink redundancy, the link steadied, the drone corrected course, locked on again, and slammed into the Pantsir S-1 array. The impact was ruinous. It split open 2 nearby fuel tanks, hurling a 70-foot inferno that lit the fog like dawn. Russian sirens wailed. Spotlights pierced the mist. The surviving Strela 1-0 fired 2 missiles. Wildly into the void, neither hit. But the core defenses stirred. 2 Shilka cannons and 3 Zu-23 guns unleashed fire, red tracers slashing the dark. 5 Ukrainian drones vaporized in mid-air, plummeting as burning comets. Yet 3 pressed on. These R-18 strike drones were piloted remotely, through jamming and chaos. Pilots gripped controls firmly as cameras zeroed in on bunkers, housing 2,000 tons of shells. At 3:43, 3 green indicators flashed. Target locked. The drones plunged. Screens went white. Moments later, the horizon exploded. The ground heaved. Air imploded, swallowing Tokmak's night in flames. The fortress lost its vision. Imagine being the operator then, watching the feed blank out. Would you fire? Comment your view below. At 3:47 a.m., only 3 minutes after explosions, turned Tokmak into a firewall, Russia's defense network jolted awake. Sirens blared across the compound. As emergency lines buzzed, posts in Melitopol and Polohai hit full alert. Southern reinforcements, 2 Ka-52 Alligator helicopters took flight laden with 80 S-8 rockets and 12 Viper missiles. Rotors churned through smoke and debris. Ground forces, the leftover Russian troops, roughly 400 from 642 originally, scrambled to rally. The commander sent his quick reaction squad through the eastern woods, armed with PKM guns, RPG-7s, and raw dread. They marched straight into a preset trap, but it was an elaborate setup, mapped out weeks prior. At 3:51, the second phase of Ukraine's assault unfolded. From Huliaipol, 38 kilometers away, HIMARS systems fired 6 M31A1 rockets. In swift succession, the missiles raced at Mach 2.2 through darkness, trajectories finely calibrated to meet the incoming helicopters. The first warhead burst over the trees, scoring a direct blow. The blast sheared the tail from the lead Ka-52, sending it crashing in a spin. Another rocket hit the improvised airfield near Tokmak, wiping out a fuel reserve and blocking landings. As ruins burned, Polish Crab, self-propelled guns, pummeled the eastern route, delivering 6 100-pound shells per minute. A single crab shell struck an Mi-8 troop carrier's descent, blasting it apart in the sky, scattering fiery debris. Over half a mile of steppe, columns of Ural trucks, queued for entry, were torn apart on sight. By 4 a.m., Russia's counterpush collapsed before launch. Defenses shattered, backup forces eliminated, trapping Tokmak's garrison in a blazing maze of craters and smoke. On Ukrainian frequencies, a steady voice broke through. Target down. Initiate Phase 3. Armor forward. At 4:03 a.m. on October 16, 2025, the final devastating phase commenced. From the northwest ridge, 50 tons, T-72 AMT tanks and 40 BTR-4E carriers surged ahead. Under cover of darkness, engines roaring like approaching thunder. Leading them, 6 Wisnia mine clearers cleared the way, detonating traps, with explosive charges rippling the earth. The radio order was concise and chilling. Advance to grid 47.261, 35.714. Engage on contact. Quickly, Ukraine's armored spearhead pierced the outer perimeter, unleashing synced barrages. Every T-72 AMT shell packed 9.2 kilograms of explosives, piercing reinforced barriers with ease. The first salvo targeted the southern warehouse, igniting over 200 tons of stored munitions. Flames rocketed 300 feet skyward, raining hot shrapnel on the rail yard. Panic gripped the Russian side as chaos reigned. The remaining 380 soldiers tried forming a line by the wrecked fuel dumps, but the ground buckled beneath them. Air thick with diesel, burnt cables, and gunpowder. Sporadic machine gun bursts cut through smoke, frantic and short-lived, silenced by tank blasts. At 4-7, a BMP-2 Russian platoon launched a counter from the east gate. They barely covered 100 yards. One Javelin missile from a concealed post hit the lead, sparking a chain detonation. 3 vehicles erupted in turn, ammo popping like fireworks. Drone cams captured the advance, armor fanning out in the debris, infantry debarking to clear paths with grenades, and night optics. Earth trembled under synced tracks and artillery roars. Overhead, Punisher UAVs hovered at 3,000 feet, feeding live targets for strikes. By 4:15, the heart of the base caved into a 300-meter fiery sinkhole. Tanks, chained explosions, shockwaves, registering 24 on seismometers. Russia's last signal cut off. They're inside the base. Within 13 minutes, Tokmak's mighty fortress became a smoldering grave of metal and fire. Amid smoke, Ukraine's flag advanced. At 4:16 a.m. on October 16, 2025, Tokmak was no more a town. It was a blazing abyss. Temperatures in the inferno soared to 1,200 degrees Celsius. Melting steel frameworks, air rippled like liquid flame. As Ukrainian squads pressed through ruins, step by step, rifles poised, faces smeared with ash. Orders were stark. No position spared, no enemy spared. Above, R-18 drones streamed infrared feeds to command. Screens showed heat signatures lingering in collapsed buildings. Counts 43 active fighters and at least 60 wounded Russians. Crawling debris. Spots marked, triangulated, wiped out instantly. A crab, 155mm shell, near storage corridors, blasted a 90-meter radius, obliterating all above ground. Westward, 4 T-72 AMTs rolled through heated wreckage, glowing from residual fires. Their 125mm APFSDS rounds tore concrete like tissue, collapsing 3 bunkers, burying 37 inside. Nearby, a tank's shockwave toppled a tower, half a mile off. At 4:24, sappers reached Southern Command. In the bunker, remains of Russian officers, 5 bodies, charred maps, melted radio, still hissing to Melitopol. They set 6 pounds of thermite and withdrew. In 30 seconds, the core flashed white, gone. By 4:29, all resistance ended. 402 Russians eliminated, 2,340 tons of ammo vaporized, 9 full sites erased, losses nearing $240 million. Blasts registered in Dnipro sensors, 160 kilometers distant. Dawn crept over ruins. Final call on Kyiv net. Calm. Unwavering. Objective secured. Tokmak hours. By 5:02 a.m. on October 16, 2025, Tokmak vanished. Russia's top secured. Logistics node was now a 3 SQKM wasteland of smoke and molten alloy. Maxar's satellite shots. Hours later, revealed scorched soil, replacing 12 warehouses, 8 silos, and command structures. Total devastation exceeded $310 million in assets. Effects rippled beyond the front. Melitopol convoys ground to a halt. Supplies to 58th and 70th Brigades dropped over 60% instantly. As sun rose, Zaporizhia artillery reported rarity. No enemy response since war's start. Tokmak's fall severed Russia's southern vein. 7,000 plus troops starved of essentials, cut from food, fuel, ammo. In Kyiv, hailed as masterful strike. Western experts, war's pinnacle of chord. Within 48 hours, NATO pledged $1.4 billion in munitions. Vehicles-proof success moves, maps, and mines. Victory's shadow, silence. 11 Ukrainians fell in rubble. Price for breaking unbreakable. Each night blast. Families wait for light. Tokmak's end truths. War power, not army size, but intellect, patience, precision of defenders. As smoke cleared, question for watchers. Commander, stop or strike again before day? If Ukraine's bravery deserves world eyes, subscribe. Stay for next Hidden War Tale.